The Transfiguration of Giving in Hostia Volume 3, Secret Teachings of the Order of Nine Angles by Anton Long. As people are not meant to stagnate, neither will the status of those who have developed. First, we must strive. Then we work on thriving. Satanists embrace their uniqueness and their solitary culpability. The synthesis and analysis of initiation awaits. The general degrees can be said to be laid out, but the specific garb will vary in number and type. It isn't about trying out a list or forming a collection, though. Whatever you work up to shows the possibility of more. The Order of Nine Angles is too prejudicial against Judeo-Christian mysticism because it conveys aspects of the Western and Northern African traditions that may be of nowhere else. I will agree that Kabbalah and such did direct esotericism into authority structures and abstractions too much. But we can say that they did maintain paths of alchemical transformations. We can avoid the Neoplatonism and using Greco-Roman terms as technicalities doesn't make the situation any better. Which doesn't. The Order of Nine Angles does open the access to whoever wants self-realization and self-actualization, though. It is not about being anyone else's prophet or God. It is about the draconian current embedded in the Arthurian and Knights of the Holy Grail legends. Unlike Islam, the Order of Nine Angles embraces extremism and excuses actions or beliefs towards a purpose. Satanism is not artificially dark, nor with any pretenses to political correctness. The Order of Nine Angles leaves any ethics or morals in terms of self-approval or contentment. Otherwise, it is a directly acting out of choices in an immoral way. Western society is thus said to embody the Satan principle and to control even those who do not consciously serve the demons. There must have been some auto-correcting with this. Baphomet is the symbol of the satanic co-worker and the pairing of opposites. The initiations towards progress will not have faith in the conservative forms, but could use the meaning and energy towards new forms. Initiates, right. This must be done without aiding the distortion of reality, illusion, delusion, and limiting attachment can be said to be the satanic sins. Gateways can be formed in the causal to bring about a new age. And by new age, we're not meaning the relabeling of the old stuff as new age just because some of the organizations and people are more recent. The Galactic Imperium is said to be in its transitioning period between 1995 and 2385. David Myatt was involved with National Socialism from the 1970s till the 2000s. But we can't limit his philosophy there. Our say, the organization, required it. The old European ways never quite broke through in the NSDAP because of its connection to the German Christian movement that it branched off of. And no attempt to address Satanism in its form takes more than redressing it without the racism and nationalism. Supremacy does exist and will emerge, and it is better to work with it than deny it and fight it. Inferiors are produced about whining over some groups doing better than others. And it doesn't fix any overall issues of prejudice and oppression. It also needs to be more than idealization of the individuals involved. Yes, become one with your higher self, but involve the real world control systems in your achievement. The Magian comes through just as strongly when filtering the magic of Axis, controlling priests through neo-movements. Aleister Crowley, Helena Petrova Blavatsky are the dogmatic adhering to any other New Age teacher. We are not harsh or abusive for its own sake. People will ignore pre-existing fantasies and other causes to project activities on groups or individuals that they don't want to exist. Satanism doesn't start as a rebellion to organized religion or as a part of modern nonprofit organizations. The types of people who sprouted or supported the pseudo-intellectual blood and soil mythology that was invented to compete with and infiltrate Judaism and Christianity is what we mean by Magian. Mundane can be said to refer to the more literal sense of liberal and conservative, because the Satanist is sort of a fundamentalist in one way or reform in another, because they're direct or they take the spirit whatever direction they want, regardless of principles in such a regard. After all, can it be said that with the anti-nature stuff of 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 24, Paul made it easier to do the destruction Jesus warned of in Matthew chapter 10, verse 28? Our art is upon the impetus of our true nature. Calling instinct and pleasure evil is silly at best. Maturity is knowing how to use them. Politically, we are for the autonomy of countries, are organizing alliances beyond the permission of the 232 Nazian system. It started as 212, by the way. We don't need members as much as those to go out, choosing their own roles and starting their own groups. You will find those just trying to feel special among loners and socialites. It isn't about the feelings or the opposites themselves. It is about having that spiritual processing, regardless of what is going on. Effects are more important than being known or being considered an exemplar. An exemplary part of courage, truth, honor, fidelity, discipline, hospitality, self-reliance, industriousness, perseverance, are whatever other principle are lack of. We shouldn't fall into the restrictions associated as being of the left-hand path or right-hand path. Externalization and internalization, very much, both have their functions. Projecting outwards and drawing in are both needed in a complete life. Wild and civilizing factors work together. We can become and identify with as we connect and concentrate. Satanism is not complete in the contexts of exchange or imbalance. Sinister fiction should be seen as myths and fables. They indicate magic, purpose, and principles for life's processes. The understanding and use of these can certainly develop over time. They can teach us inflections of opposites and how to notice different types of narratives woven together. It shows how consent is more powerful than force and how actions against others are the common currents can be needed. Nexion, a beginning, shows how competition between left-wing factions, the USSR and NSDAP were certainly both left-wing in actuality, can show the struggles to survive and thrive as your own person. Because remember, right-wing is towards anarchy and left-wing is towards totalitarianism. Mementos do form talismanic associations that can be used as a Kickstarter to commune with the acausal planes. Our play with organized devices of free association will also bring guidance to the coming events. Some may want to fully identify with loyalty to a specific political or other organizational entity or amalgam, but there is something more going on in the change of society. Copula cum emana, connecting with the anti-personal self, or a summer's tale, like many fables, can be said to connect to the meanings of names and titles, like directing inspiration, like a poet or artist, and the melodious, those of the lycanthrope kingdom, shape-shifting, taking on animal objects and sources, and rustic dwellings. So, the pagan, heathen way. Initiation should not just be handed over. Certainly some texts go out there, but not, other initiations, right? It should be upon those willing to act contrary to the outer and inner ruling societies. It should be upon those who can use the cycles of nature. What seems common invites towards passing opportunities of arrangement and engagement with it. Efforts that work with the patterns of nature unveil goals for the path. Spiritual texts and rituals center us and cause deliberate experiences. Action enforces what some fragment as religion. Because religion is supposed to be a whole-on engagement with all of life, not just, some building. Some claims to religious authority are only as far as we allow them to have that place in our lives. The spirit of the acausal undercurrent works with us as far as we enact our affirming it. What people call gods and goddesses are there before they are turned to. Our reproductive and creative faculties can incarnate their will. We don't know all the details of what that may be, but the iron bridge is built to connect beyond familiarity. And as you may well know, Shropshire, England, and other places encountered by the main figures of the Order of Nine Angles, and their personal lives were worked into the stories. But I think things are broader than that, and you know, as said before, we're not looking at these individuals as prophets in the Abrahamic way, or the Abrahamic conception of a prophet, the prophet, or other groups that say that. Nor are we treating them as some sort of infallible gods or some other things. What went on in their own personal lives is, more or less their own responsibility to deal with. And so we have the meme, right, that relates to the term for Hostia. Stuff that has the what's it called? It has some verses that have been related to the issue of sacraments and all that. And it's not good. I'm not seeing that. Okay, now I see the meme. Okay, so we see Doctrine and Covenants 27:2, Matthew 26:26 to 28, Mark chapter 14, verses 24 to 22. I said 22 to 24. Luke chapter 22, verses 19 to 20, and John chapter 6, verses 48 to 58, or is it 40 something? We have the metas to seek kiosis, the metar uthemesis, the metabala, the Eucharistai, which relates more directly to the Hostia. We have the metousiosis. We have the prosphoron. We have the antidoron. We have the Eucharistos. And all these verses and words go beyond the Christian doctrine. But by calling it Hostia, I think that was very deliberate in reference to the whole Christian mythology, but using these areas in a way that's not Mithraic, definitely not Christian, is what's going on. And certainly in terms of sacrifice, you yourself can be a living sacrifice. And what's on this meme here is Davchina,